This is Bill McMinn from Makeable Bible Church, and this is the Way to Go podcast, where we talk about faith, family, and daily life, putting the Bible into practical, everyday terms. Welcome to the Way to Go podcast. I'm Bill McMinn, Bradley Brobst, talking about God and nature today because I was out in the garden. I mean, when I think of garden, not just like garden for vegetables, but blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, fruit trees that the deer are eating. So frustrated about that. I'm in a I know you don't want to hear this, but I'm in a kill deer mood right now. So somebody's like, well, just shoot them. I'm like, I would love to. I don't know if I can actually just go out and shoot them because they're eating my orchard trees. So I'm going to fence them. I'm not going to shoot them. I'm just going to fence around them. But yeah, but I do like going and checking on them. So at this time of year, probably twice a day, I'm out there walking through everything, looking over everything. Good thing that I do, because that's how I actually noticed that the deer were basically defoliaging my fruit trees, which can't be good. It can't be a good thing. But at least I was out there. And when you think about the fact that God and nature, seeing God in nature, well, he made it. So there's got to be his fingerprints on it anyway. So I think it's a great thing that we can get out there and see God and think about God out in his natural, beautiful world.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, just walking and looking at just the beauty of each plant and just the growth and there's so much to nature that just to the eye that we can see.
I think one of my things I would like to drive for today is get out there. I think too many times people are not out there. I've been out kayaking on different nights in the past and been out there for a beautiful sunset, and it'd be myself and Jerry. We're the only ones out there. And everyone in the Brother and Cove is buying a kayak. I mean, you can hardly get a kayak. Everyone's buying a kayak. But I knew, again, not to be pessimistic, but you knew they're going to be collecting dust in a garage somewhere. You still, it didn't matter. You still didn't see anyone out there. You can go look at a beautiful sunset at Walnut Beach. Yeah, there might be 20 cars there, but there's 100,000 people in the county. So it's not, by comparison to how many people are here, there really aren't a whole lot of people out there paying attention to these things. And I think they're great things to pay attention to. And one of the things we have in some verses, I'd like to share, Genesis 1:1, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now, one of the things that we realize is how important is nature. You would not have food without it. You wouldn't have food apart from nature. If you eat fish, if you eat beef, if you eat chicken, if you eat nothing but vegetables, that's all nature. There wouldn't be anything for us. We wouldn't live apart from nature. So I would say, yeah, it's pretty important. And Genesis 2:8-9, now the Lord God had planted a garden in the east, in Eden, and there he put man he had formed. The Lord God made all kinds of trees grow out of the ground, trees that were pleasing to the eye and good for food. In the middle of the garden were the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So looking for God, how about we look in a garden? And we just start there.
Yeah, no, that's like we get into general revelation, just seeing the beauty and just how something can grow, plant seeds, all by it's amazing to look at and understand and see the process.
Well, yeah, I mean, you put a little seed in the ground. You put a zucchini seed. I'm going to do that, hopefully, Lord willing, this week. I'm going to have a zucchini seed in the ground, and that zucchini seed is going to sprout up, and it's going to become something all different, man. I mean, the map in that little seed is unbelievable, right? I mean, you can plant a tree, an oak tree comes from an acorn that fell off the tree. It's pretty amazing. I mean,
little, not even an inch big acorn turns into a 100-foot tree.
Yeah, or a little helicopter turns into when I say helicopter, the little spindly things. I don't know what else that we call them.
That's all I know.
Seed form, right? Little helicopters come down. And I've got maple trees growing, and I try to plant them and propagate them at different places on the property. So if you're looking for God, look in the gardens, because he's the first one to build a garden. There's been lots of times where I felt like being in the garden, God is pleased. Yeah, he's the one. He was the first one. It must have been important, right? So I'm not saying get out and garden, but I'm not telling you not to either. It's not a bad idea. Plant something. And then in Genesis 2:15, the Lord God took man and put him in the garden of Eden to work it and to take care of it. And I think about how awesome that is, because there's a lot to learn. For one thing, work's not a 4-letter word. How about that? God put man in there. He makes man. It's perfect. There's no sin. No sin at all. It's a perfect world. And what do we see? Man's working. That's not a bad thing. And I think we live in a day where I wonder if manual labor is not looked down upon and frowned upon. Oh, I'm not going to do manual labor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. Yeah. I hear it from people that graduate. I got a degree in this. Okay. Well, do you have a job? No. Well, go get a job. Well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do sweep floors. You got to do something to at least get started.
Absolutely. I don't have a problem. I mean, when I was young and, thinking about a wife someday, right? And so that was my thoughts. My vision was, hey, I want to marry somebody who's pretty and looks, can dress up, doll up, however you want to put it, look nice, go on a date. Yeah, that's great. But I also wanted somebody who didn't mind throwing on a pair of jeans and a t-shirt and getting their hands dirty. Mm-hmm. I didn't want somebody who didn't understand just going out in the yard and working there, because that's a big part of life as well. Now, fortunately, like Jerry, she would rather be outside working than inside working. Now, it's nice weather. She goes, I know I have inside work, but I'd much rather be outside with her. She's really good at pulling weeds. I got to tell you, like, I'm good at bulk pulling weeds. Like, I'm the bulk of it guy. The tedium of like, oh, that weed's growing in the middle of the coral bells. That's where she comes in, man. She'll dig every one of those little things out. So I'm the rough get it out, and she's the final touch person. So this is teamwork.
And that's the beauty of it, is you're doing it together. You're spending time together as God sees. It's not good for a man to be alone, and so he provides a partner for him. And and just as you were talking about walking in the garden, and just Courtney and I, that's one thing we like to do, just to decompress from the day. Hey, let's take a walk. We walk around and just look at this plant's coming up, or that plant's, and, oh, look at this tulip, it's doing good. Or why haven't my azaleas bloomed for 3 years? I don't know. Like, we just look.
I would say they might need more acid in the soil. Could be. You know what I mean? Because aren't azaleas and hydrangeas, some of those are acid soil lovers more than. Sure. So, yeah, it could be pH balance. But I don't know. I am not an expert. Don't listen to me. Anything I say, I'm just a guy who
put acid on it and it died.
I'm a guy who just plants stuff. You know what I mean? And then I hope for the best. But last night I was walking. Actually, Sean Cripple got me a bag of sulfur pellets. So it's 100 pounds, 10 by 10. He told me that's what some ag department, whichever one he wrote to, said, yeah, put a pound for every 100 square feet. So 10 by 10 areas. So I wanted 10 by 20, put 2 pounds. And I just kept spreading out, got that scoop done, went and got another scoop, and I just spread it out. Why? Because that makes it acidifies your soil, which is great for the blueberries, and strawberries like it too. So I was kind of in that area just doing that, but that's just kind of working and tending. And I really believe God is happy when we bring order to our world. So if you look at a mess, and I think of the property that I came to, it was such a mess. And I remember my brother, he was talking, he goes, what do you think of it? I said, well, to me, it's paradise, because I like to work and I like to do things like that. I mean, I'm sitting in my office coming up with sermons and writing things like podcasts and talking to people, meeting with people. It's not like physical. Being out in the garden gives me something physical to do, which I enjoy that. So I thought it's paradise. So we had all these barbed wires you needed to come up and brush, all kinds of overgrowth and briar bushes that are now, it's all lawn now. It's just grass. But in that day, it was really a wreck. So now I'm actually expanding more and bringing order. And I really do believe God is pleased, because the guy, Adam, was supposed to take care of the garden. He's supposed to bring order to his world. And every time we do, whether it's inside the house, outside the house, you bring order to your world. That's a good thing.
Yeah, no, that's one thing that from my previous job with working with trees is when you go to a house, I mean, it's a jungle. Like, you can't see the house, and someone new bought it and they're ready, and they have us come in, they clear out a ton of trees, but also they leave certain trees. We trim those up, and it's just at the end, just the difference, the impact that now that tree has been cleared out and has room to grow and to sustain properly. It just beautifies the property. You can see the home now, and you don't have trees growing out of the gutters. It's just so much that we bring order back.
Right. But if you do have a tree growing out of the gutter, get it for me, and I'll plant it on my property. Maple saplings growing in your gutter, I'll take those. But no, I say it tongue in cheek. Yeah. I actually was over someone's house. They had 3 of them growing up there, and I was looking almost in envy. I'm like, I need to get up in that gutter, get those trees out of there, so I can plant them at my own house. I like sugar maple trees. That's all there is to it. But no, I think bringing order. I think anything that you do as far as design of it is cool. I like your dad coming over and he pruned one of our apple trees. I enjoyed that because then you realize, oh, I can cut these branches. Mm-hmm. I can. And then I got a power pruner, which I've been talking about, which are pretty cool. So I went and some of the branches are like trees you're mowing around it all the time. The tree branches in your face. I'm going to put an end to this with this power pruner. Mm-hmm. I'm going to cut these branches because you can. As long as you don't cut inside the acorn, whatever. What do they call that?
Well, the collar.
The collar, thanks. The collar. Yeah. I was looking for the official term. I don't remember it. I just know the thing comes out. He goes, don't cut that off
too
because
tight.
It won't heal.
Don't leave it out too long.
I never heard that before.
Yeah.
Glad to hear that. That's good.
Because some people will want to cut it. And that's the thing is there's beauty to the order and how you do things. You can't, like you didn't know, like apple trees, you can really hack those trees and they will flourish and grow right back and you'll be a jungle next year. Like I just did this thing.
Right.
But that's the thing is bringing that order and using the knowledge that you have that is God given to us. Right. He has given us these abilities, these things that know how to take care of the trees and to learn. Like you just learn collar. It's just how to cut it. And it's all things that we can give glory back to God because only by him we learn these things.
Well, absolutely. And I think too, when you look at nature, and we're going to talk about learning some lessons from nature, but there's male and female in nature. Mm-hmm. Male and female, if nothing else, you learn that you can't do it by yourself. Like you can't bring a child into the world by yourself. Mm-hmm. There has to be another component. Men and women have to be together to do that. When you're raising children or just doing things in general, you being in conjunction with other people brings more light to your life. Hopefully, I guess it depends on who you're hanging with. Maybe it'd bring a cloud of darkness. I don't know, but I've learned a lot talking to other people. So whether I'm talking to you, I'm talking to your dad, I'm talking to Scott, I'm talking to whoever. I mean, there's a lot of people that I'm just picking tips up from along the way. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I didn't know that, but I'll try that. And, oh yeah, we could do this, we could do that. So I love learning new things. And I realize that's why we're all together, because then we can, hopefully some things you might learn from me, some things I'm going to learn from you. Exactly. And we get better sharpening because we're not supposed to be alone. So if we look at the world like, oh yeah, I just need to be alone, hang out in my house by myself, never interact with anyone. Well, you don't learn that from nature. Mm-hmm. That's not how ants are working. That's not how the bees are working. That's not how anything's working. Yes. Right. So I would say being together is a good thing. Now here's another verse. So we've already gone over that God made the world, right? God planted a garden, that God put man to work in the garden. So work's not a bad thing. Bringing order to your world's a great thing. Then Genesis 3:8, then the man and his wife heard the sound this is after they had sinned, by the way. They heard the sound of the Lord as he was walking in the garden in the cool of the day, and they hid from the Lord amongst the trees of the garden. But what fascinates me is God was walking there. And you talk about you and Courtney like to walk in the garden. I like to walk in the garden. You think about God like to walk in the garden. Mm-hmm. It's a natural thing. He came in the cool of the day, and he was walking through his garden, and it was a beautiful place. And then making your property a beautiful place you can be and enjoy. I think that's a great thing. Yeah, I read one time a couple of photographers. They were like National Geographic level professional world traveling photographers, and they wrote a book. And I was reading from them, and they said, make your yard a place you can photograph. Like make it beautiful enough that you can just be home. Yeah. And photographing things, because there's stuff all over the place. And I always thought that was an interesting concept. Yeah, it is nice when your property is such that, oh yeah, there's plenty of things to take pictures of as a photographer. There's plenty of beauty right there, and different things that you do aesthetically to your property to bring beauty to it. I love it.
And the choices are endless.
Oh yeah.
And the thing is because some people maybe, I don't have money to do these things. It does not cost a whole lot to go out. If you come ask me, and hey, there's a maple tree in your woods in the back, can I have it? Go ahead. Like it's if to do things like that.
I'll be there.
You don't have to.
I'm just kidding.
Except Bill, make that clear. But you don't have to always have money to have a beautiful place.
Right.
And you can yeah, we all have to mow our grass. Well, let's just
Right.
make sure we do it with pride. Take care of our area.
Dude, I've planted things sometimes. I don't even know why I planted it. This is so many years ago, but I was at a yard sale actually, and they had these burning bushes. And I planted 4 because I thought, oh, it'd be cool to have a hedge along the top of the driveway between the drive and the house. And oh my goodness, I mean, today, those bushes, it is a straight hedge between these 4. And in the fall,
Yeah.
that brilliant red.
It's beautiful.
It really is beautiful. And they say the blueberry bushes, I planted 18 blueberry bushes. They say as they get bigger, like their fall colors are really great. I've seen great fall colors in hostas. Then we put some actually in front of the church. And I'm looking forward to, when it's fall, seeing what colors, because they'll turn this like brilliant orange sometimes, which is really fascinating for even a hosta is changing colors in the fall. So yeah, it's just beauty everywhere. And Romans 1:20 says, for since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people are without excuse. And one of the reasons to look to nature is to learn about God, that he's powerful and he's wise. There is a God. There has to be a God. I mean, there shouldn't be a lot of doubt about that.
Yeah.
You can ask questions about Christianity if you want, or, hey, what about Jesus dying on the cross and this miracle, that miracle, this story of the Bible? Doubting God? I mean, seriously? There's way too intricate.
Yeah, that a seed can fall and just the right amount of pressure and plant itself and grow into these large trees. Like, there's so much design that goes into it, that how could you not see that there's a designer behind all this?
Right. I always figured nature knows what it's doing. If you can get it in the ground, like a lot of times these saplings I see, to me they struggle. Like I've had some I put out last year, they haven't bleeped out yet. Other ones have. Some haven't. I'm like, well, nature has a way to live. If there's any way for that plant to live, it's going to figure it out. And that's when I say nature, that's just God instilled it into it, which is beautiful. In Psalm 19:1-4, the heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Day after day, they pour forth speech. Night after night, they reveal knowledge. They have no speech. They use no words. No sound is heard from them. Yet their voice goes out into all the earth, their worlds into the ends of the world. The heavens, God has pitched a tent for the sun, or in the heavens, God has done that. I think it's interesting. I mean, no voice, no words, no language. Every language gets it. It doesn't need a language. It's a universal language. Look at the sun, look at the moon. Don't worship it. Look at the stars, look at the design, look at the order, look at the beauty, all things that comes from God. It's constantly speaking, constantly telling us different things. And Job very much saw God in nature too, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and when you were reading that, I also thought of, as we as human beings, we have a voice that we can praise God with. And these things don't have any voice. And as Jesus said, if they don't, the rocks will cry out, my family. Like the rocks don't cry out, but they give their glory by just being there, being created by God, being there years after years through generations of us. Right. But it's a continuous look at God's creation.
Well, I think too, even in photography, sometimes when I put out pictures, I don't say a lot sometimes about it because I feel like, well, it speaks for itself.
Yeah. Pictures worth 1,000 words.
Right. It just is what it is. You know, I don't need to, it's going to speak. It's going to testify for the people who weren't there to see that beauty of what all it was. But Job said, this is God speaking to Job, who cuts a channel for the torrents of rain and a path for the thunderstorm to water a land where no one lives, an uninhabited desert, to satisfy a desolate wasteland and make it sprout with grass. Now, God is saying, I'm even taking care of places where no man even inhabits. What you would consider a wasteland, God is still even there. And I find that fascinating that, wow, God, you care so much about your world. Now, if God cares about that, right, that nature, and God is in control of nature, that should bring us a lot of comfort that God's in control of our lives. If you look at the 10 plagues that God brought against Egypt, so much of that, if not all of it, was nature. There was something about nature. It was water turning to blood. It was frogs. It was flies. It's lice. It's hail, lightning. it's just darkness. There's just amazing how many things in nature that God was controlling, trying to demonstrate to the Egyptian people. They were worshiping a sun god, different kinds of gods, that I'm the one that's in control of all that.
Yeah.
So nature is something that's beneath the control of God, but nature typically is not beneath our control. Yes, we can harness wind at times with the windmill. Yes, we can. I can't even say we can harness it. We can take advantage of it.
Yes.
You can channel and make a dam and make electricity out of it, right? So yeah, we have done some things to kind of use nature to the benefit of mankind, but we don't control storms. If a tornado comes towards a certain town, there's not a lot the town can do, or the town people, other than get out of the way. I mean, that's about it. You can't really steer it. We don't control the temperatures. If we did, this Memorial Day weekend be a lot warmer than it is. So we obviously don't control it. But God, I'm kind of glad,
because then some people be too hot, some people they'll be fighting over the dial.
Yeah, that's true. But God does control these things. So
yes, He does.
Then that really brings me then to the question of, okay, well, what are lessons? We say that God is in nature, that God is controlling nature, that the world, and especially, man, the simplicity of thinking always connects God and nature and sees something of the divine there. Not to be a pantheist where God is in everything. We're not saying that. It's just all things, as the Bible points out, are pointing back. So we see that. But then when you look at nature, what are some lessons that you can take from there? Because the Bible certainly refers to it over and over, and lessons to be learned.
One that I really always thought of, because I cut trees a lot, and just the pruning, when God talks about pruning us. And yes, pruning doesn't feel good, but it's good for the trees. When thinking in a tree response, but same for us. But in the tree sense, it is good. If I prune off this limb, it's going to allow the other limb to flourish, to grow, to be better.
Right.
And that's the same with us. Well, we got to cut off this bad limb so we can flourish and grow in that area, not allow that bad limb to stay there. We got to take it off.
Right.
And a vineyard guy, he told me one time, he says, if you do not prune it, the fruit will not come to full
Won't develop right.
It won't come to harvest. It won't ever turn that grape color. You have to prune, or else the fruit will not
mature, ripen.
Yes, mature. Right. Yeah. There it is. Ripen.
Right.
Yeah. Will not ripen. And I'm like, wow, that's such a impactful thing, that we are the same. In order for us to ripen, we have to be pruned.
Right.
And seeing that in nature, where if you don't prune the grape branches, they will not ripen.
Right. So don't, I guess, ignore or kind of push aside the discipline of the Lord, because that would be like a pruning type of thing.
Yeah. So when you hear something in a sermon I'm doing what He's telling me not to, well, that's the Lord convicting you to change your life.
So get it together.
Yeah. Exactly.
Matthew 6:25-26. Here's a great one. Therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food, the body more than clothes? Look at the birds of the air. Now here's Jesus Christ pointing out nature and a lesson to learn from nature. They don't sow or reap or store away in barns, yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? And I look at that and I think about that and I'm like, well, that's powerful, right? Because you're more important, you're more valuable than that. If God's taking care of them, He's certainly going to take care of you. And that's a nature thing. Then He goes right into the lilies of the field. Look at the flowers of the field. They're here today, tomorrow thrown into a furnace, cut down, what have you. They don't last long. There's a lot of beauty. God clothes them they're more beautiful than Solomon in all of his glory. Look at that. And so I look at the flowers of the field. I was encouraged to cut my field more often. I'm like, I don't know, because right now the buttercups, I think their buttercups are up. There's a lot of yellow. There's a couple different kind of yellow flowers I see in the fields, but these are more the buttercup kind than the other ones that I see. They're beautiful. I mean, to look at them, just that sea of yellow on a lake of green. I mean, it's just
and just
gorgeous.
I mean,
it's just it's amazing. I remember one time when I was out of college, my first year, I went to work on a farm for the summer, and I was in a different state. And I remember it was around the Finger Lakes. So you're always on a tractor or somewhere, oftentimes from the fields, because they all rolled down toward the lake. Mm-hmm. The lake was just blue as blue could be. And there were these fields of yellow. I didn't even know what they were, to be honest with you, but it was just field of yellow and a lake of blue. And you're just, wow, man, it's amazing. Then later on, seeing Queen Anne's lace, seeing goldenrod come up, Joe Pye weed, and different things and different colors come up in the fields. The bees love it, so I kind of like letting it grow for them. I almost feel bad when I do take it down in the fall, because it's like I have to before it gets too wet to do it. And then I'm like, man, the bees have been chowing down on all this stuff, so I kind of like it for them.
But just like that, God's providing for those bees. God's providing for the birds, the seeds, and so many ways that he'll provide for us as well.
Absolutely. The fruit of the Spirit is one. I mean, you think about nature, you think about how many times it's mentioned in the Bible, you got the fruit of the Spirit. You have verses that don't be deceived. You're going to reap what you plant. Well, that's something that's really easy to hang on to. You don't get corn out of a tomato seed, right? I'm not getting zucchini, planting beets. If I plant beets, I'm getting beets. Yeah. If I plant tomatoes, I'm getting tomatoes. That's what you get. You get what you plant. And he's saying you do the same thing. You do evil stuff. That's what you plant it. And guess what? That's what you're going to harvest.
Yes.
You're not going to plant evil and harvest good out of it. Like that's not going to happen. Like you're naive if you think that. Yeah. That's a nature thing. That's something nature teaches you, that you are going to reap what you plant. Period.
Yeah. No, that's a good
classic one. All right. What are some other ones that you like? Bible uses nature.
Well, I even think of just separating the weeds from the wheat, like just
chaff from the wheat.
Yeah, chaff from the wheat. Just even that, weeds aren't good.
Right.
And one thing that someone opened my eyes to is weeds is anything that you don't want there.
Right.
So if some people don't like dandelions, well, some people do, but it's upon what you're saying. And so that's a weed, pulling it out. Oh, that's a weed. Whatever is there that isn't supposed to be. And that's the same with when God's talking about weeds in the chaff, or the chaff in the wheat, is no, that's not supposed to be with my wheat.
Right. I always love the people that don't like dandelions, and then the next door neighbor doesn't care. And then they're all mad because the dandelion seeds are blown in their property. Well, it's not, what are you going to do about that?
Yeah.
You know, it's a short season anyway. It's only a 10-day, 2-week season for dandelions where they're getting ugly. It's not long. It's already over. Let's put it that way. We're in May. It's already done. Yeah. The dandelion season. There's new stuff that's coming up and growing. But yeah, I would say the weeds are the things that are in the way of, like, that make my crabgrass. Do not like crabgrass in my garden. There are other kinds of weeds that I'll see in the garden. I'll see them in the flower garden. Do not like them. There's some that get viney. Do not like them. I pull all that kind of stuff out. You know, whatever it is, it's a weed. And the thing that I've learned about weeds, as far as looking at nature, is that's like sin. Sin is like the weed growing in my life. I've got to pull it. It's coming back. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to be typically one and done in your battle with sin. It's not like, hey, I believe in Jesus Christ. That was the last sin I ever did. Yeah. No, you're always going to be pulling weeds. Just like your garden, you're going to constantly, it's going to be a constant battle. You're constantly pulling weeds, constant effort. That's your spiritual life too. And if you don't plant, here's another lesson from nature. If you don't plant something good, anything's going to grow.
Yes.
If you don't take the time, if I don't plant tomatoes in my raised beds or some other kind of crop, weeds are going to grow there. They're going to find a way. It's just weeds are going to grow. Yeah. So I have to plant something good in that space. You can't just empty space and not put anything. The same is true with our lives. Like, we can't empty out, let's say, lying or empty out anger and not replace it with something. Like, you've got to plant something. So to me, the anger would then plant love, plant patience, plant forgiveness, plant whatever it's going to take to overcome it. Right. So plant something else there. Yeah. So you have to. You put off, you put on. I mean, that's kind of a lesson.
I see that right now with when we walked out by our garden. We rototilled it, and it's been rototilled for a week or two maybe, and you already got little green stuff growing up everywhere.
Absolutely.
It's like,
and guess what? It'll be a foot tall in about 5 days.
It's not going to take long. Man, it's a constant to have that tomato grow in a weed-free environment. Right. It's not very easy.
No, it's not. But here's the thing. Fresh water can't produce sweet and bitter at the same time. That's a nature lesson. So he's saying with our mouths, we shouldn't be blessing God and cursing men, because how can salt and fresh water come from the same spring? It's not possible. We shouldn't be going two different directions in our speech. And that's a lesson from nature, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, so I love it. They're leaning on nature to make an object lesson for us. Jesus Christ talks about knowing your seasons. Well, you should know when the end times are coming, because just like you see something ripening and you know when the flowers are here, you know the fruit's coming. You got to be able to see the earthquakes and some of the calamities that are going on in the world and know that the end is getting near. I mean, he said that, right? So that was looking at nature. Go to the ant, sluggard. Love it. We just did this podcast last week. Go to the ant. Don't be lazy. The ant's always hustling, getting out there, getting stuff done. So should you. Jesus Christ stilled a storm. We use storm as an analogy. There's storms in our lives. Who stills them? God does, right? Where did Moses encounter God? In a burning bush. Mm-hmm. A burning bush. That's where he encountered him. It was intriguing to him because he's a shepherd. He's been out there. He's seen nature. He's like, wow, bushes don't usually
burn and not
be consumed. Like, what's going on? Yeah. So he went up to see it, right? So even that was something where God was using nature to capture the interest and the attention of Moses, and then having a conversation with him. One thing too that I'll take as far as a lesson: growth. You don't plan anything today for what it is today.
Yeah,
you always plan it for what it's going to be, and you have to be patient with people, because if they're, we're told to bear fruit. I found this, but it takes time. I mean, it takes time to mature in certain areas. Just like, you put in a maple sapling, I put in bunches of them, they're not going to be a full-grown tree, maybe not even in my lifetime, to be honest. Yeah. I mean, it's going to take time. You put something in a landscape, my goodness, I mean, you can't expect it. I mean, you better have a lot of money if you expect that thing to be planted and fully mature.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's going to take. You're going to have to plant a pretty stinking big tree, and it's going to take a lot of work, and it's probably going to weigh 500 plus pounds too, right? The ball of it. Yeah. I mean, I get that, but for most things that we plant, it's just like all of a sudden it's small. It's just this little space, and then it's growing and developing from there. So,
yeah, no, and I think about that with we have hemlocks. We planted them, and we're now getting to experience the blockade, the privacy from it that we just.
How many years ago did you plant
them? It was, it had been 7 years.
7 years ago?
No, it might have been even more than that. Time flies.
Time flies. It does. I have them, and they haven't grown, and they haven't done anything.
So the thing is they are doing really well, and we have to plan, because at that time there's still a different house there. It was different setup, but we knew where we were going, and so we planted them because we knew eventually we're going to want this privacy.
Right.
And same with when people would cut down a big tree. It took years for that thing to get that big. It's just making sure we're making good decisions, right? Because you take that tree out, you might lose a lot of shade. There's things. So it's not like, oh, he's a tree cutter, he always wants to cut trees. No, I also want to cut this tree. There's no reason for it. But if there's bad signs, get rid of it. There's certain reasons.
Right. Well, I mean, we lost locusts that were part of a hedge for the whole time we were there, and that was maybe a couple years ago, year and a half ago. Well, no, it was more than 2 years ago, because we planted, coming November, it'll be 2 years we planted new trees in the space, because once they were gone, it created such a void, kind of as a hedge between us and the other houses, because they just ate up, they were big, man. They ate up a lot of space. You wouldn't really think so until they were gone. When they were gone, you realize how much space they took. And so now I've planted trees, and I got to wait for them to grow into that space, but it was immediate. I don't think those trees were down a month when we were planting.
Yeah.
So I planted a kind of tree Jerry wanted to plant there. We planted 3 of them, and eventually, I'd say probably within 5 years, they should be decent.
Yeah, and the thing is preparing for that. Like I actually planted 5 to 10 years ago a tree that I know that's going to end up having to come out, but I planted one similar closer to it. So once that one's gone, I already got something started too.
Right.
Even though it's going to be harder for me to cut it down because now I got a tree in my way, but I know what I'm doing, so I'm willing to do that kind of stuff.
Right, you take that chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my wife said, you have these trees planted too close. I'm like, well, number one, if they all live, they're saplings. We can move them. They're just planted here for now because they were just space holders. I'll leave a row and I'll make sure they're spaced appropriately between each tree, but I'll move the other trees to other spaces where I need them, should they grow. I mean, that's the jury is still out. But I think that people take too much time away from seeing nature because we're always TV watching, or there's video games, or there's just other things. And it seems like, I don't know why anyone really wants to be indoors this time of year. I mean, I don't, if it's nice and I can be outside, I mean, I would, my goodness. I mean, there's no way. I honestly could not on a nice Saturday be in the house if it's a nice day. Like, that's just, there would be absolutely almost no reason unless I was sick to be in there. I'd have to be outside doing something. But as you're outside and you're going about, or you're driving down the road or whatever it is, I would say take time to ponder what's going on around you. I've seen things like this in nature. Just humanity is part of nature. But I remember one guy wrote to me, he was mad because we went and hiked at a certain place. That's only for nature. And I didn't know how to explain to him, humans are actually part of nature too. Yeah. We are. Like, we're also created beings in nature. Right. So it was kind of, it made me laugh, when I heard that, but we definitely need to get out there. But anyway, when you think about nature and you think about humans, we love our kids. And I've often thought about God's love for us as we think about the need of patience. I thought about how many times my kids, when they were younger, drove me crazy. Sometimes they still do, even as adults. Right. I thought about, well, guess what? I drive God crazy too. Like, I probably annoy God too. And so he's patient with me and we're patient with others. I think even that kind of stuff, you got to work for things to make things happen, right? I look at nature, and one of the things I learned from there, hey, if you put your mind to something, you can do a lot. Honestly, like, you really can. It's just step by step. A lot of times the things that we do, you're like, oh my goodness, that seems impossible. I've put together some beautiful things on the property that at the first step, wow, whoa.
Yeah,
like, that's a lot of work. I just stayed after, and now we can enjoy it, and it's beautiful. And
that's a good analogy with our kids too. Right. There's gonna be rough times that you just gotta stay at it, and just like any plant, you're gonna take care of it, and you're gonna help it, prune it, wherever it needs to be. Right. And giving that environment for that child to grow. Right. So it's very similar in that sense.
Right. I don't think that we should, and even with our kids, teaching them lessons, ever make it like, hey, every moment of my life is leisure. In other words, I work my 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week, whatever it is. As soon as I get home and pull in the drive, I should have to do nothing. Yeah. I should sit back, chill, and do nothing. I don't see that as being how we're built or as being ultimately healthy. I think you have to, especially warm weather. The winter is more that way. Like, winter would be more of a, there's not as much to do. But the warm weather months, I would say those are months, no. Don't have that expectation. I'm going to come home and just chill. I'm going to do absolutely nothing tonight. You should be looking around to say what needs to be done on the property. What can I accomplish? What can I get done? And you'll find there's probably plenty to do. Pulling little weeds and things like that. I think it's great. If you have a condo or something like that, then I would encourage you to take walks. Get out there in the nature. Get out there on the nature trail. You know what I mean? Take a walk.
There's anything. Potted plants. I mean, I see a lot of people doing potted tomatoes. I mean, you could do a lot of stuff still, even if you're at a condo in that sense too.
Right. And the last lesson I'll talk about this is just an object in motion tends to stay in motion. I've said it over and over again to my kids. It's like, I've just noticed that if you're in motion, you tend to stay in motion. If you start to, I'm going to sit down right now, you might not get up. Yeah. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because sitting down is pretty comfortable. Yes. You know what I mean? It's pretty easy, but I feel in being in motion, you'll accomplish more. Yes. You'll get more things done. I think you'll be healthier, be better off. It's going to take work to plant a garden. I'll do it this weekend, but it's going to be beneficial.
No, it's good.
I love it. I mean, it's not the kind of work I mind actually.
But no, I tell my grandpa that all the time. Grandpa, you just keep moving. Right. And he loves it. He wants to keep moving. And I think that's why, because if he stops, I don't think he'll get going again. And I mean, he's constantly out there spreading mulch. I mean, 100+ yards at a 80+ year old man's house, like spreading mulch.
That's unbelievable. Seriously. I mean, truly incredible. That's a lot of mulch.
Yeah. It's just like, but he does it and he keeps them fit, keeps them
Right.
healthy, keeps them moving.
Right.
And I truly believe that staying in motion, but
There are too many people that I saw when I was younger, especially. I don't know that I've really noticed it lately, but when I was a young man and first married, it seemed to me like when people retired, guys especially, they would die.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be not, obviously, there's plenty of older guys here, but man, I would just look at that and say, holy smokes, they just retired. Now they're gone a year
Yes.
later. That person just retired. Now they're gone a year later. And I was thinking to myself, retirement doesn't seem like a great play. You know, when I was younger. At least when you
But it's
retire,
what
have
you
plenty
do.
to do.
Yes,
have plenty to do. It's just don't retire and sit in a rocking chair. If you're going to retire, then keep moving. And I think God intends us to work. I think it's healthy, and it's telling your body there's a reason for me to be here. It's actually like naturally telling your body there's a reason for me to be here, to keep me younger and fit, because I'm actually doing something. What does my body need to be around if I'm not doing anything, right? So I think I'm even communicating to my own system.
That's a good point.
That there's things I need to do. Anyway, we appreciate you tuning in, and hopefully you've learned a few lessons. And there's a lot of nature. I mean, we touched on some of it. You can think of other Bible stories too, I'm sure, that also talk about nature and where object lessons are and truth is communicated through it. So be looking around, paying attention, learn what you can about God. You guys all have a great and a blessed week.